Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the Speak Well podcast on tonight. I don't know if you know, but this is pre recorded. Um, so, this is pre recorded because I felt like the traumatic experience that I had this week, I just didn't want to deal with live comments. I tend to get distracted when I'm reading the comments, and I felt like if I pre-recorded this, um, I will have a little more vulnerability. So as you can see that the topic of this is called Daughters and the Trauma Caused by a Mother. So many women have experienced, and men, but I'm specifically talking about women on tonight. So many women have experienced trauma that has been caused by a mother where it was willingly or unwillingly, right? And so many of us are still trying to heal from the things that have happened. Many of our mothers come from a generation where they weren't able to talk, they weren't able to share. They didn't talk about sex, they didn't talk about mental health, they didn't talk about things like that. It was what goes in this house, stay in this house. So if you suffered with incest, if you've experienced molestation, you weren't able to talk about it, and so you saw those things um, as an adolescent, and you grew into an adult, and you became a broken adult because you weren't able to talk about those things. Some of our big mamas did not think that anything was wrong with their families, and if they thought something was wrong with their families, they didn't talk about it. So let me just jump right into it. I'm reading a book called Perfect Peace. I don't remember who recommended the book. Actually, nobody recommended the book. I listen to a lot of books on Audible because it frees up my mind when I'm sitting through traffic. So it's just best for me to just buy a book off Audible. Audible had a special on books that were on sale. And so I was reading the reviews, reading the cliff notes. And so this book really caught my attention. It's about a Southern African American family. And it's about a lot of Southern African American families that many of us can relate to. So I started to read the book, and I'm just going to give you a short portion of the book. I think, everybody should read it if you come from the southern parts um, of the country. And, that's the kind of family that you were raised in because everything was a secret to some, but everybody else knew about it. So I'm reading this book about Gus and Imogene. They are the parents of 7 children. Imogene was highly abused by her mother as a child. So Imogene got out of her mom's house. She ended up starting her own family, and she wanted a daughter. She ended up having 6 sons. She started crying out to God, pleading to God, "Hey God, why you won't give me a daughter? You have given me 6 sons. I don't need another son. Please give me a daughter. You got to give me a daughter." She gets pregnant a 7th time. Back then they had what do you call midwives. She gets pregnant a second time. She's in the birthing room and she looks at this baby. The baby is very beautiful, has a head full of hair, and she's just mesmerized by this baby. So back then, men couldn't come into the birthing room, only women. So when Imogene gave birth to the baby, the midwife said, "Hey, Imogene, you want me to go tell the others that you got another boy?" She says, "No, this is my little girl. You're going to go out there and tell them that I finally have a little girl, and tell my sons that they have a sister. Tell my husband that he has a daughter." Her and the midwife are going back and forth about the midwife is saying, "I'm not going to be a part of this foolishness. This ain't no boy. This ain't no girl. This is a boy. And you need to go out there and telling people the truth that this is a boy." So Imogene threatened her, told her, "You ain't gonna go and tell them nothing because I know a couple of your secrets." That's how it starts. Everybody got a secret. So because they have a secret, they sworn to secrecy not to tell yours. Just a bunch of mess and foolishness. Something that could have been avoided when she could have easily just said, "It's a boy. God don't want me to have a girl. Trust the plan of God." So this video is going to go really fast because I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. I just want to get to the point, and I want you to also get something out of this. So I'm not going to toil and spend a lot of time on this tonight. She gives birth to another boy. She has deceived everybody. She has everybody thinking that it is a girl. She's dressing it in girl clothes, girl bows. She's treating it like a girl. Back then, they didn't believe that men should change the girl pampers. So for a long time, nobody in the house changed the child pampers. So one of the children that she gave birth to was named Bartimaeus because he was born blind. Bartimaeus and Peace. She named the seventh child Peace. I'm sorry, Perfect. Their last name was Peace. She named the seventh child Perfect. So the girl's name is Perfect Peace. She has a son who's blind. Blind Bartimaeus takes the seventh child down by the river and they're out there playing. Now they're old enough and they're talking about the birds and the bees. Bartimaeus is saying something about um teenagers or growing up or something like that. Oh no, I'm sorry. There were two animals having sex. So Peace Perfect says, "Ugh, what in the world is that? Blah 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 blah." So her brother is saying, "You don't need to worry about that. You don't have one of those things." And she's like, "Yes, I do." So the blind brother is saying, "No, you don't. You a girl. You don't have a penis. You don't have a thing down there." He called it a thing. And she said, "Yes, I do." The blind brother is saying, "No, you don't, girl." "Yes, I do." She pulls it out. The brother feels it. The brother is the only person aside from the mother that knows this secret. The brother did not know how to respond, so the brother also keeps it a secret. He doesn't say anything. Her, him, and both the seventh child knew what the mother had done, but they didn't know to what extent. So the blind brother was just like, okay, well, whatever. Didn't ask any questions. You weren't allowed to ask questions. Perfect turns 8. Perfect has a birthday party. They start talking about menstrual cycles and different things like that. And Perfect is like, "Mom, one day am I gonna have a cycle?" Her mother tell her, "Well, yeah, baby, sure, but maybe not, because not all women have cycles." So the mother is continuing this lie for the past 8 years. Long story short, she ends up telling the girl, "You're not a girl, you're a boy." She takes her down to the river after for 8 years living as a girl. She takes her down to the river, takes some breeches, takes some boy underwear, cuts the child hair off, changes the name to Paul. That's just it. Don't ask no questions. You was never a girl. I wanted a girl. You was a boy. That's it. Imagine how much trauma this child is about to experience in the neighborhood, in the household, in the local community, in the local church, in the local school. Imagine what is about to happen with this child because her mother told a lie when all she had to do was say, "This is a boy." Her mother told a lie to appease herself. Her mother told a lie to make herself believe that God had given her a daughter. Her mother hurt her so bad that all she wanted was to give her love to a daughter, but that's not what God wanted for her. So she lived a lie for 8 years and she started experiencing the backlash from that. The church talked about her. Her husband beat her a couple of times because she lied. Her sons didn't understand what was going on. It was a total mess. Fast forward. I take my daughter to the hairdresser on Saturday. We're in the hairdresser. I'm watching my 13-year-old daughter. She's getting her hair done. My daughter lives a totally different life than what I lived at 13. She has things that I did not have. She has friends I did not have. She has the support I did not have. She has a mother that I did not have. Now, let me pause. I love my mother with everything in me. I've taken good care of my mother. Everybody knows that. All while knowing my mother has suffered with a lot of things. I've always loved my mother. I've always looked at her mental illness as a mental illness. It's a sickness. This is what God gave her. I don't know. Then the older I got, I started to understand, well, my mother is sick because she experienced some things when she was a child. She wasn't affirmed like she needed to be by her mother. She wasn't affirmed by her father. She ended up having to be a mother to her full brothers because my grandmother worked so much. She ended up having to be a mother to a son where his father was incarcerated, and then my father was incarcerated. So it's all of these things. So I've always gave my mother grace as to why she turned out the way that she did. While I'm sitting in the hairdresser with my daughter, one of my cousins who live down south, she's my mother's age. She says, "Hey, cuz I got these pictures of you. I'm gonna send them to you. I'm gonna share them on the screen in a minute." I said, "Okay, send them to me." I thought that she was sending me pictures of like most recent pictures of me at a family reunion, me in my 20s. I didn't know that she was sending me pictures of me as an adolescent. I'm sitting in the chair watching my mother get her hair done, and I receive these pictures. When I get the picture, I open. I wonder if you can see it. You should be able to see it. Okay, so let me blow up the picture. I hope you can see it. So I get this picture. There's some others in there I'll show in a second. I got the pictures and I immediately was triggered, and I didn't know why. I hurried up and closed the phone because I wanted to be in the moment with my daughter as she was getting her hair done. And I didn't know where my mind was headed to, but I knew it wasn't a good feeling. So I put the pictures away. And she kept sending pictures. And every time she sent the picture, I opened up the the email. So then there's another one to see. That's me right there. I think that's my cousin Phil. That's me again. That's me again. But we're gonna focus on this picture. So she sent the pictures and I quickly put the pictures back. I'm keeping my composure because again, I'm trying to be present for my daughter in the moment. It's me and a couple of other women. We're in the salon talking. We're actually having a very good conversation. And the conversation we're having is about mothers and their daughters and women who don't like girls. Why don't they like girls? Why aren't they a girl's girl? What happened? Different things like that. And I always say women who don't have great relationships with their mothers don't make good friends. And so, when I said that, a light bulb kind of went off, and many of the women in there were like, "You know what? Right? I've never experienced that. What made you come to that conclusion? How did you figure that out?" And I said, "Well, I do a lot of research. That's what I am. I research things, I read, and I'm discerning, and I pay attention, and I'm sharp." Okay, y'all. So I get home and I lay him because watching the pictures, it took so much out of me that I immediately started getting fatigue and I started feeling sick and I started feeling nauseated. And again, I don't know what's happening. I know something is happening, but I don't know what's happening. When I saw the picture, I remembered the doll baby. I did not even remember me. I remembered the doll baby. I always asked for a Cabbage Patch. So I remembered her. I couldn't remember the little girl. I couldn't remember where I was. I couldn't remember things that had happened because things had happened. I couldn't remember, but I can feel my chest getting full. I can feel my heart palpitating. I can feel my breathing getting short. I can feel my mind drifting. I can feel all of these things happening. But all the time I kept saying, "God help me. God help me. God help me." And I kept doing like this to my chest, right? I did some breathing. I wouldn't lay all the way back. I would sit up because I was afraid of how I was feeling. That little girl had experienced so much, and I know that she did because those the feelings that I felt when I saw it, but I couldn't remember. The trauma was so bad that I couldn't remember what she had experienced. I just knew she had experienced something. I come home and I lay down. I just wanted to lay down. So I laid down. It was about 8:15, 8:20. And I say, I'm going to eventually probably doze off. So I got on Facebook. When I got on Facebook, something said, go to your mother's page. Now, for many of you who don't know, my mother do suffer with mental illness. She always has, and I've always been there for her through any episode she's ever had. And I went on Facebook. And again, things I share are very transparent and personal moments for me, but I share it to help somebody because many of you have experienced things that you'll never talk about, which is why you won't heal from it. You'll never share it, and you're too embarrassed to talk about it. You're embarrassed to talk about things that somebody else did to you. I am not. I am not going to live in a secret. I am not a secret. The only thing I'm responsible for doing is keeping other people's secrets when they come and speak to me in confidence. But the things that have hurt me, I am not responsible for keeping those things. I am responsible for healing myself and healing other people. I went on Facebook and I opened up Facebook and I went to my mother's page and I was looking at her stories. And in her stories, I saw a picture of her and my great niece, and they both had, I remember they were dressed. They had on the dresses. It was the day of my niece's wedding. So I'm looking at the picture and I'm like, oh, this was in the hotel room we was in. But I looked deeper into the picture and I saw a picture. I saw me in the back of the picture. My mother was dressed. My niece was dressed. My mother don't know how to take a selfie, a picture. She don't know nothing about Facebook. She don't know nothing about nothing. They just get on there and post, and some seniors shouldn't be on there. She took a picture of herself in the mirror that was in the bedroom of the hotel. In that picture was me in the background. I'm in the bathroom. I'm in a garment that we wear under our clothes to pull everything together. I'm in this garment and I don't have a bra on. And I'm looking and I said, now mind y'all, all of this have happened within a span of 6 hours. I'm sent the pictures of the Cabbage Patch and the Little Ukiah. I go to Facebook. I'm on Facebook on my mother's page on a picture she posted, and I'm in a faja with no bra on. I can't breathe. I can't think. I can't hear, and I can barely see. I can't even talk. So I sit up, I call my mother. She answered the phone as if she was asleep. And I said, I couldn't even raise my voice. I said, you posted a picture of me with my breasts out? Oh, I know. I tried to get so-and-so to help me. I said, what? You did? You posted a picture. Someone told you posted it, or you just knew you posted it with me in it. You bypassed me to tell somebody to help you take the picture down. Now, mind y'all, the picture had been up for 22 hours. So I'm late to the party. I come in the middle of the movie. The picture had been up almost a whole day. Damn near a whole day. The day before. I know she don't know how to work Facebook. I'm looking at the clock. I'm looking at my environment, thinking about where I am, thinking about my response, thinking about do I leave out the house, thinking about do I go over there, thinking about what to do. Send my son and my niece a message. Is anybody close to her house? Go and delete the pictures. Because if I go, it's going to be bad. So there were people that saw this picture, brought it to her attention, knew she didn't know how to remove it. Nobody said nothing to me. So I'm going back to this picture. Everything was happening at once. I said, you had one job when I was this size. You had one job when I was this size. And that was to protect me. You didn't do it then, and you didn't do it now. So I said, I called, she ended up hanging up on me as if she was the victim. I said, there's somebody in your neighborhood that you can knock on their door. You've been there for 30 years. They'll delete a picture for you. I'm not going to nobody's house. These people around here, hi. I said, they can't be no worse than what you are posting this picture of me. She hung up. I called back. I said, if you don't get up, it kind of got disrespectful. I said, if you don't get up and find a way to take that picture off of Facebook, I'm going to come over there. My son ended up having to leave his photo shoot to go and take the picture down. I was so embarrassed. And see, what people don't understand is they see me and they see the strength, they see my beauty, they see my class, they see my style, they see my influence, they see my elegance, and they have no idea what the bottom of my feet looks like. Stop wanting other people's shoes because you have no idea. Because if it had not been for the grace of God, that little girl that is holding that Cabbage Patch would not even be here. If it wasn't for the grace of God, that little girl would be a whore. If it wasn't for the grace of God, that little girl would be strung out. That little girl would be stripping and tricking, prostituting, on drugs, hard drugs, heavy drugs, in a psych ward, taking medicine. If it had not been for God, that little girl would hate her mother. Because there are a lot of women that I know that hate their mothers. But you know what? God did not allow me to become a woman, to become this woman and have hate him. I don't hate nobody. I have forgiven every single person that have ever offended me, whether it's mother, father, it doesn't matter. And so it took me a couple of days to just get myself together. It knocked the wind out of me. I've never been exposed. I've never showed a part of my body. Being sexy is one thing, being nude is another. We don't know who saw it, who saved it, who screenshotted it, who shared it. We don't know any of that. And I will never take for granted that because you don't know. This is social media. And I am Ukia. And what people would give to see a picture of me with my breasts out. So I haven't received an apology. I haven't received, it was a mistake. I didn't mean to do it. I didn't know I did it. Please forgive me. I've never got any of those things. But because of God's grace, God always reaffirms me. He always heals me from inside out. That's why you see me, when you see me with a glow. But don't ever look at me with envy, disgust, or jealousy, because you have no idea. Every story I tell will be my own. Every story I tell will be to help another sister, even another brother. I am proud of who I have become. I am proud of who I am. And believe it or not, I wouldn't take anything for my journey. Nothing. It made me. That pain turned me into a boss. That pain turned me into a wife. That pain made me a mother. Am I the best mother? I am not. But I am trying my best to be, because I don't ever want my children to be in a state of affliction and I not be there. I don't ever want my children to be in a state of being treated a certain kind of way and I'm not there. That little girl was not protected. That little girl went through. I looked at her eyes and I said, I started because I said, God, make me remember her. And I kept looking at her eyes. The smile that she has now is the same smile that I have. I did not lose that. And I'm so glad that God had been with me. I had to be about 6 or 7 in that picture. I am 46 years old now. And I don't look like anything I've been through. I should have lost my mind. And in speaking to my spiritual mother, Bishop Webb, what she explained to me was it was, adverse childhood experiences. Those are those things. And I just want to read this because I know I'm not the only person that have experienced anything like this, but that is why therapy is important. Clinicians are important. Talking to somebody is important because there are some things that we went through that we have forgotten because it was so bad. Or we could have been coached to forget about it. I also understand that because I'm called to heal other people, because I'm called to show people that it's okay to speak in your authenticity, I had to experience some things, but this knocked the wind out of me. So I wasn't prepared on Monday, yesterday, to come and talk to you. I wasn't prepared tonight to come and talk to you, but I knew I needed to. And I needed to pre-record it because I needed to be focused on what I needed to say. So adverse childhood experiences are stressful or traumatic events that happen during childhood. ACEs can include abuse, neglect, violence, household dysfunction. Examples: physical abuse, such as being hit, pushed, or grabbed; emotional abuse, such as being insulted, put down, or threatened; sexual abuse, such as being touched or fondled inappropriately; witnessing violence in the home or community; living in poverty; parental mental illness or substance use disorder; domestic violence, discrimination, incarceration. Health effects. It can impact your brain development and how the body responds to stress. It can be linked to chronic health problems, mental illness, substance misuse in adulthood. Associated with many of the leading causes of death like heart disease and cancer. Supportive parents and caregivers can help buffer the effects of ACE. Building skills of caregivers can help them provide a stable environment for children. Reading that, I can pick out 5 things off of that list that can be an example for me. Incarceration. I wasn't incarcerated, but I visited like I was. My dad was there. Parental mental illness or substance abuse disorder. I experienced both of those. Poverty. Lived in Stone Lake. Witnessing violence in the home or community. I witnessed it in the community. I grew up in Stone Lake around the time where the Jamaicans had taken over. So we saw people getting shot and killed, left in the street. Parents suffer with mental illness. The other one, mental illness and drug abuse. Sexual abuse. Emotional abuse. So at the age of 46, these are all the things that I have experienced that caused the adverse childhood experiences. And so when you look at me and you see how I move and how I will maneuver, if you're going to question anybody, it should be God, because I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be in my right mind. I shouldn't be in a doctoral program. I shouldn't have a master's degree. I shouldn't have a bachelor's degree. I shouldn't have an associate's. I shouldn't be an ordained deaconess. I shouldn't be an entrepreneur. I shouldn't be. I shouldn't be the voice. I shouldn't be the person that people look to for advice. I shouldn't. How am I able to? Who taught me how to encourage other people? Who taught me how to build self-esteem in women? That was nobody but God. Because that little girl didn't have that. That little girl needed me. And so I don't know how much therapy I got to go through to be able to look through these pictures and look at these pictures and say, I need to heal that little girl so that the adult in me can continue to heal. I don't know. But if you're out there and you are experiencing any of those things that I have listed, if you come from a family like any of the families I have described, you have an obligation to yourself and to your family, especially if you have children and you are a mother, you have an obligation to seek help, because an unhealed mother produces unhealed children. And you put that trauma on the children. And some of us are yelling through the house and we don't even know why, but that's why. You have a hard time nurturing your children. That's why, because you didn't get the nurturing. You have a hard time supporting your children because you weren't supported. Hard time giving your child a hug because you weren't hugged. It doesn't make you a bad parent. It will make you a bad parent if you continue to live that way and make excuses about why you can't be a better parent than what you are. You have an obligation. That's my time. I didn't want to be here long. I just wanted to give you that. Um, I don't know if there'll be a part 2 to this. If you have questions, feel free to email me. If I was a blessing to you and you want to donate anything, I've put everything down the bottom. Um, but I just want you to know you're not alone. You're not by yourself. I understand. I see you. But to you have an obligation to heal yourself. You even have an obligation to pull up and have a conversation with these individuals. You even have an obligation to cut them off if you have to. You are not obligated to stay. You are not obligated to stay in spaces and places where people do not see you. And when you have your moments, of meltdowns, make sure you have people who are present. Make sure they know how to respond to you. Because listen, the wind was knocked out of me. I know it was. And I thank God for my family who I could talk to about that, for my friends that I could talk to about that, because I could have crashed out. I really could have. Because you have to think, all of these things happened in the same day. I'm presented with these pictures I've never seen. I'm presented with another picture I haven't seen. This little girl and that woman in the picture were battling for something. And it all was due to one mother. You got to do better as a parent. And if you are the better parent, teach other parents how to be better. You have an obligation to protect your daughters. You have an obligation to protect. The reason why you're alive is to make sure don't nobody misuse your daughter. In the name of God, you will not misuse any of my children without me sitting on the sideline and not saying nothing. I am not my mother. I am not my grandmother. You will lose fooling with me. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you enjoyed. Leave your comments. You all know how to reach me. Instagram at the King's Missus, at Speak Will Podcast. My email address is yhugee@gmail.com. One day I'm going to get all my marketing stuff together and you'll be able to see everything on the screen. But right now, I'm just going with the flow. And I hope that you stay in the flow with me. Thank you so much for your time. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.